there's been a lot of conversation that's kind of come back about, we still get that whole argument of like K-pop versus P-pop.
Yeah.
And how like K-pop system has obviously been developed and that it's going to be really, really difficult for the Philippines to catch up. And I want to go through today, through part of our episode, I actually want to talk about what I believe personally, and part of our model for our label, is that the Philippines and P-pop could overtake K-pop.
Yes.
In the future.
Yeah. Bang.
Are we doing this again?
What? I'm trying to add something new to the beginning of our things.
The GidKidDad Show.
Quack. It's a great day to play, everybody. Welcome on in to the channel.
Yeah.
Why are you like an emo kid today?
I'm not. I am Assassin's Creed.
Oh, that's what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I'm Assassin's Creed. Do you like it?
You do some like things really well in terms of like copying other things or like emulating other things, or like, you know, that's not one of them. But I tell you what, top of the building,
I'm Assassin's Creed.
I'm gonna go put some hay next to your house.
Yep.
Take a try.
Imagine me doing flippies. Flippy. I'm Assassin's Creed.
Whether it's first time here, you're joining us, thank you for being here with us today. You're loved, appreciated, always welcome here on this channel, and you are.
Enough.
I just gave myself a finger heart. I like went to give it to the camera, but then I hit the table as I put it up, and I gave myself like a finger heart.
This is for me. This is for me.
That was funny. Dude.
Huh.
Sometimes we're like, oh, there's nothing spicy this week. And then sometimes we have a spicy week.
And this is a
spicy week.
Oh, okay.
There's some good stuff going on. And not good stuff, but there was some spicy stuff. There was stuff that's good for a podcast.
Before the show, you said, oh, we can go through this stuff with CMGs.
And you were like, you have no idea.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So generally, so the way this works each week, just so you know at home, we it's a little bit of a mixture between like us trying to look things up because we try to stay in the know, but then once we find subjects, and we do have a team that like puts together some stuff for us. So we got two things happening. One that I want to talk about is it's funny because as we've been doing a lot more of the OPM and P-pop reactions again, we've talked about it more. There's been a lot of conversation that's kind of come back about, we still get that whole argument of like K-pop versus P-pop.
Yeah.
And how like K-pop system has obviously been developed and that it's going to be really, really difficult for the Philippines to catch up. And I want to go through today, through part of our episode, I actually want to talk about what I believe personally, and part of our model for our label, is that the Philippines and P-pop could overtake K-pop.
Yes.
In the future.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it from an empirical standpoint of talking about the data. And this is stuff that's like kind of proprietary data that we did a lot of research in early
so we're doing
on.
Like a the empirical of P-pop shall rule the world.
No, not like empire. That's
the
not
empire.
That's not. I'm not like. This isn't like
the P-pop empire shall rule the world.
You will join the dark side. Like not the empire.
Yeah,
you know.
the empire.
That was pretty good. I felt.
Yeah, that was
I felt
good.
like I would. Maybe I can play him someday. I mean, I'm starting to look like him. You know.
You are.
And not the young guy. The one after
after he got zappy zapped.
Yeah. You will join the dark side. Anyway, so yeah, he's so weird. But talking about it from a data sense and what we saw in the data when we did our market research, we had like a 50 page report when we first did market research. I want to explain exactly why we believe that it could be. So we're going to spend the second half talking about that. The first half that I want to talk about is there's been some interesting stuff that's happened recently, and there was a show I know that you know that a show existed, and we talked about it because it happened at a very similar time that we did Finding FINIX.
Right.
So at the same time, for those at home who don't know, there was a show that was done on TV5 through MLD Entertainment and Astro, and we're going to go into that today as well. But before we do that, what I want you guys all to do is to click the like and subscribe button down below. Make sure that you follow along. We have a girl group.
We do.
Out of the Philippines right now called FINIX, FINIX. There is a new song dropping this week in like 5 days.
Wow.
4 days. By the time that this comes out, even like 3 days.
Man, I can't believe it.
There's a new song coming, so you guys should make sure that you check that out. And also, if you're looking for a place that you can engage with them on a daily basis, we are partnered with an app called Hey Roomie that the girls are partnered in. That is also in the links in the description below. It's free to join. Make sure that if you do stop in, say hi, say that GKD sent you, and yeah. So.
I'm a heart built to swallow. I got you thirsty. 수소녹인 나비의 보각을 simulate a system wait for the loud.
All those good things.
It's the greatest fandom app on the planet.
It is great.
It is great.
It is great. But so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start because I know I've read up on this a little bit. You don't know the full timeline of everything that's happened yet because we just got this. This like really just happened. I think that the news came out like a day ago as of the time of our recording this. So it's very, very fresh and new data is still coming out. So I want to go for the people at home of a quick timeline. And I also want to say in everything that we're saying, this is things that are being reported currently by public news outlets and organization. So take the facts for what you will. Right? This isn't just one source, though. This is multiple sources that have come out and said this. We are not a news organization. I'm not going through and fact-checking these things, and we are not stating any of these things as fact. We are just reporting
what's been reported,
essentially.
We're
your go-to place for secondhand news.
Yeah, kind of. We're secondhand news
we cultivate it for you. But what we have done is we've broken it down into a simple way to be able to talk about it easiest. So, what happens is there is a show that was called Be the Next 9 Dreamers or Dreamer 9.
Here's the show. Envision.
He's got it. Envision the show. Okay. This was involved MLD Entertainment, TV5 out of the Philippines, Arts Row, which is another production company.
So that's 3 things.
Okay. So, again, want to state that this is speculative on some of this, but so Be the Next 9 Dreamers, also shortened as 9 Dreamers, was a Philippine-South Korean survival and talent competition show produced by MLD Entertainment in partnership with the Philippines broadcaster TV5 and Arts Row, the other local entities to form a new global boy group.
Gotcha.
MLD Entertainment formed the group Horizon through a similar show like this through the Philippines. Now, we've talked about this, and I don't think this is going to be in here, but there was a lot of chatter about MLD going and doing another reality TV show so soon when there didn't seem to be recently a lot of support happening for Horizon. That's a whole nother story about Horizon's issues that were happening with MLD Entertainment, and that there's been chatter about things like that, or them potentially being cut off, or them being here. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. So there was a lot of fandom, though, kind of to do about that.
I mean,
so and again, and MLD Entertainment is a Korean company, so they partnered here. Now, the show premiered on TV5 beginning on February 8th, 2025, and ran through May 10th, 2025 for 27 episodes. Ooh. So this is much bigger, and like from a standpoint with the acts that they got. When we did our show, it was very much like kind of guerrilla style, home style. Like, yeah. We did it with TV 36. We didn't have a huge budget, but we just wanted to put on a good show and really provide the girls with training. Like, that was it. It wasn't about fandom interaction in terms of the fans helping call like how many people were going to be kicked off and stuff like that. So it was really just about us kind of showing the behind the scenes of us selecting the next people. So this show's a little bit different and had a lot of bigger names involved. So key names involved with this was the host was Sandara Park from 21, who's very, very popular in the Philippines. Okay. So she was the MC and the dream weaver. And then they also had Korean and Filipino mentors like EXO's Chen, Momo Land's Haibin, other producers and other choreographers. So they brought in some big names for this that would have cost money, right?
Yeah.
So the show was positioned as a major global boy group search, bridging the Philippines and K-pop infrastructure. So this was not just finding people from the Philippines. People actually came in from Korea, and I think that two of the winners, if I'm not mistaken, were actually from another Korean group that had actually already debuted called The Kingdom, and had come in, thought that they were going to debut for this group. They've since gone back and are continuing their work through The Kingdom. So there was a lot of it. So quick timeline on this. So let's start. So August 2024, okay, announcement and auditions happen. On August 24th, 2024, the partnership between TV5 from the Philippines, MLD Entertainment, and Camp Global was announced with open global auditions across Asia. Okay. January of 2025.
I mean, global, but only across Asia. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, because they weren't, the auditions were happening in Asia, but they allowed other people to come in. Like, you didn't have to be like Chinese. For instance, like I think that there were a lot of people that tried out that might have been like Filipino American, Korean American that like flew in, right? Just like we had people that flew in from the US, right? So, January 2025, the show was officially marketed as a global collaboration with a roster of 75 dreamers competing to debut as a 9-member group. Okay, so this is a pretty big undertaking. February 8th, 2025, the show premieres. Be the Next 9 Dreamers begins airing. May 10th, 2025, the show ends after 27 episodes.
It's a lot of episodes.
It's a lot of episodes. Post May 2025, after the show, no substantial debut, rollout, or group promotion occurred. So the winners were announced, but then it was kind of just like silent. So you have all of these artists that are just waiting.
Right.
They don't know. Like some of them are, I'm sure, here on visas and stuff like that. And again, this is where some of this info is still coming out, right?
Right.
But some contestants publicly posted that they had not signed contracts and they felt uncertainty. Okay, so like they didn't know, again, they didn't know what was going on. So there's already rumors kind of swirling about disbandment. Around the same period, reports emerged that the production team failed to pay celebrity mentors or staff. A debut was canceled while legal action was being discussed. So examples of this was Abyss Company, Sandara Park's agency, was going to be filing for property seizure to recover unpaid fees from the show.
Whoa.
And this is also what just came out in the most recent article that came out from some of the Korean outlets, was that they have now officially filed basically to claim those fees. They're doing property seizure against the company. Now, what's interesting about
this... Which company was supposed to put up the money?
Now, here's where it gets... So I'm going to... Let's get back to that. Don't forget that. Okay, which company puts up the money? Because this is where it gets interesting. So, MLD Entertainment, this is 2024, earlier in 2024. MLD's financial trouble and unpaid salaries. MLD Entertainment itself was reported as unable to pay the salaries, with employees resigning and some getting only partial payment from labor complaints.
Gotcha.
Okay. And this, we don't know if this was just in Korea, because they are a Korean company, so we don't know exactly what happened. Mid to late 2025, multiple sources report that the group's debut plans have been stalled. Some members hint that they weren't bound by a contract. Okay. So what ends up happening with all of this, though, and what was reported recently, is that the contracts through MLD Entertainment, and this may have to do, again, I don't know why the contracts were the way they were, but the company Artstro, if I don't know if I'm saying that right, that company, though, on contract on paper, was apparently the company that was responsible for payment disbursements to these talent that didn't get their talent fees.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that
The
in
money
the
was supposed to
scheme
come
of
from
things that the money was supposed to come through
But
them.
they were-
And we can kind of speak to this because we did work for a show that was supposed to be coming. We did A&R work for a show that was going to come out, and the show ended up getting canceled far before any of this happens. But they did pay on their debts. However, even though we were setting it up, we were not who the company paid through. And even though the organizers and technically the producers of the show set it up, they contracted through a third party that was helping with promotions. And the contracts for them the contracts were through that entity and the talent.
Right.
So the fees and everything, it's like they went from the producer to the house that was doing the promotions locally, and then the money got paid locally from them to them.
Right,
And in this case, that money did go that way. They had already paid this out.
Dude, showbiz is so messy, dude.
Well, especially
It's
when you're
so
talking about
messy.
multinational, right?
Right. Dude, ugh. I hate like, I love the
wild.
music side.
Yeah.
But that, like the showbiz side,
Yeah.
I hate it, dude. Like touring, trying to get the money from whoever, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's showbiz is awful because it's like no one really thinks, like, let's say the lady's name again, that
Sandara Park.
let's say Sundara Park, like the showbiz is one of those things where like you don't come in and do a job and then all of a sudden there's like 500 new parts made for the new Audi.
Yeah.
It's more like you come in, you do your thing, you are you, and then the person that's supposed to pay you can be like, you know what? I don't think you did you good enough.
Yeah.
And like that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like there are contracts, but like
There were contracts, but if there's no money,
right. And then if there's no money, and that some people, like a lot of people will just be like, oh, well, they don't even have the money and I don't have the money to get a lawyer tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like, I guess we all just go home.
well, and that's what's interesting about this. So the first thing is, remember, this was 27 episodes. Now, I don't know how long it took them to film 27 episodes, but it definitely wasn't a week, right? Like we did, I think total, our filming was 11 or 12 days total between all of the different audition processes that we did. And that's still an undertaking. But for something like this, I would have to guess that this was probably like a month or months long process where they're recording. So now if you're somebody like Sandara Park or any of these other talents and you're there and you're the MC and you're there the entire time, you've now given up other projects. So there's opportunity cost of you've given up other projects for months, right? So now you brought up a good point of like, when they have the money, that's great. Somebody like Sandara Park has the money, has an agency behind her, but these 9 members that went through this show,
what can they do?
what do they do? Right. And so it's very, very interesting. So reported issues and challenges for this. So the first one is non-payment to mentors and staff. So the reports claim that celebrity mentors involved in the 9 Dreamers were not paid by the production team. And allegations that after the show ended, the debut was canceled while financial obligations remain unmet. So that's part of this, okay? Also in that complaint was delayed and canceled debut. So despite the show concluding, there was no promotional rollout. The debut activity never materialized. Some contestants reportedly expressed confusion, noting that they never got to even sign anything.
Good.
One article suggested that fans and insiders believe that the debut was canceled because of financial and production issues, which we're seeing more and more of that coming out. Again, from a broader financial crisis, MLD had been reported had been reported for not paying salaries in the past, withholding severances, abandoning trademark registrations, for example, from its group Lapalus, and due to the lack of funds. And the number of working employees at MLD was reportedly dropped significantly as staff had resigned. Okay.
So, I mean, we know, it is very difficult to run an entertainment style company. Anything that has to do with entertainment or show business, it's very difficult. And sometimes money just doesn't come in.
It just dries up.
Yeah.
And I think that what we'll talk about next is we'll talk about that, right? Of like the realities behind it. Because this by no means, again, I want to be clear, we're not like, this isn't about MLD's a bad guy. Barstool's a bad guy. TV5's a bad guy. This is literally just talking about the realities of a situation that's happening that does impact the future of, because these companies are going to get gun shy after things like this, 100%. Right? Like TV5 is going to 100% be thinking about every single major project that they make like this, in the future and what that means for them.
Imagine if this happens today, and then like a month from now, another company comes in, like let's say even another Filipino company comes in, us or Black Star or whomever comes in, like, hey, we want to do a TV show and find a new group, but they'd be like, no, we're still paying for the last one that never got paid for,
right?
We're still in litigation with this lady,
and we've seen, this isn't the first time that we've seen something like this happen. So we'll kind of go on and we'll talk a little bit about that.
I think podcast terminology is circle back.
We're gonna circle back.
Yeah,
way to go. Ooh, you're on fire today, bro.
Yeah, I know.
So again, and to kind of. I thought you dropped your headphones over there because I saw the quick movement.
No.
So again, and then we have the whole thing with Sandara Parks Agency. So that's what's happening. So what's the current status? Well, currently we're looking at like that right now. Her company's suing them. Nobody knows what's actually happening with all of it right now. Nobody's heard anything from MLD Entertainment. All of the burden at this point in time looks like it falls upon this other company that's Artsro or whatever it is. So who knows what's going to happen there? I'm sure that more stuff's going to come out. And there is currently a lot of and mounting legal pressures from unpaid mentors and agencies, because what people don't realize is like those guys, they get paid a lot. We in the Philippines, I think sometimes it gets lost where a lot of things are like promoted as like, oh, this is for exposure. Right. We always hear that this is going to give you exposure, and it's like these people are. It's not for exposure. You're paying them a considerable amount of money to be on the show because they're bringing relevancy and viewership to your show.
Right.
So we're going to kind of see what happens with it all, but with the circle back part that on that. So we've seen this happen before where, because of financial things or people just backing out last minute, even from companies in the Philippines, that these things just go awry. And part of the reason, so just talking about the difference of like doing business, one of our biggest culture shock moments I remember for us was like when we went to the Philippines. Here, it's like we want to open whatever. We wanted to work with TMJ4.
You're right.
We're going to do a show with TMJ4. We're going to negotiate. TMJ4 is going to give us a contract. We're going to sign the contract. And you better believe that is going to happen.
Right.
It is going to happen.
Or like at least every bone in their body is going to make it try to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But the other thing is like, it's not going to be one of those things that's like, well, we're still raising money. We hope that this works.
Right.
It's going to be, no, the money's on the table before we start the project.
Right.
And that's why it works, because everybody puts in the money for the production of the project. And when we got to the Philippines, it was like, not only does that not happen a lot, and a lot of things are like, just trust me.
Yeah.
Getting people to sign contracts is like, a lot of times we'd lose out on deals because people would like reach out or we'd do something like, okay, that's great. Let's just put it in writing. And like, whoa.
Yeah, wait.
Put it in writing, be held accountable. No.
Yeah.
And even with putting things in writing, though, it's like contracts are nearly meaningless because it's still a very, very difficult court system to navigate.
Yes.
Right? Like things get tied up for a very, very long period of time. The appeals process takes forever, like from a population density standpoint, especially once you start getting multinational, multi-country.
Not to mention in the Philippines, you can just disappear.
Yeah.
Like if you just turned off your Facebook and your Twitter and your TikTok, there's no finding you.
Yeah.
Like, because there's no real credit system.
There's no social security system. So getting like what would be considered like a tax identification number is basically it's elective. So if you want to get like a job and you're going to go into the tax system, then you would apply for one. And we ran into this with some of our artists that they didn't even have their own TIN numbers.
Right.
And so, but because of that, it makes people very, very difficult to track or trace.
Right.
Because of that, right? And we're here, it's like you're born and they're like, stamp on your forehead.
Right.
Here's your number, and that follows you for the rest of your life,
Right.
you know, and they can track you basically wherever, and they got your fingerprints already, and you know, you're just in the system.
Yeah.
You know,
We like our social security numbers.
yeah.
Mine's like 7 2. No, I'm kidding.
And my credit card number is,
Right.
and my blood type is. But yeah, so it's
Trying to think of numbers that aren't in it.
aren't in it. It's interesting though, because again, like that was the culture shock for us, and we saw it happen over and over and over again, right? And it's hard to do business, especially if you're an outsider. It's hard to do business when so much of the deals that are like that, there is just a 50% chance that even if it's the best laid out plan, it's just going to blow up.
Yeah.
So business is already hard enough. The production industry, the music industry is already hard enough. Besides adding in the extra element of, on top of the slim chance of making it already, you now basically have a coin flip once you go in on it of if it's actually going to succeed or not. So because money just runs out, right? And we've seen this. I'm not going to name the show and stuff like that. If you know, you know. But there have been previous ones in the past where a bunch of money was put into it, and there was handshake deals between the company that produced the show, and management companies that after the show was done, that the management company would take over and would take whatever came out of the show, whoever won the show. Right. And once the show was done, the management company backed out.
Yeah.
And basically was like, we're out. Right. And it's just like, what do you do?
Right.
So instead, the company ends up, you know, trying to take over and doing it, but they don't really have experience in doing that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a failed experiment. They find somebody else, and then so on and so on. And this is a pretty normal story, though, that we hear, and people just like chalk it up as like, that's doing business. Move on to the next one, and do it again. Like the crazy thing is, it'll happen again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, with some other company. And it's wild.
So, and like, and obviously, like, anybody who listens to this and is like really been on our channel a lot, they know how we feel about the Philippines. We absolutely love it there. We love the talent. So when I say like stuff like in the Philippines, if you're trying to open a business, you not only do you need a backup plan, but your backup plan needs a backup plan.
Yeah.
Like unless you have like very extremely thick skin.
Yeah.
And we know this because our backups plans were, you know, things have been difficult. We are doing it. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
For those of you who want us to, we're not. They need to know.
Yeah.
They need to know. Yeah. We comment. But really though, like if we had gone in knowing that, like all the feeling, because Josh is the guy that's like, and then like something gets in his way and he's like, and he's like, no, the idea that I have is going to happen no matter what. And then I'm the guy that's like, hey, but maybe we should think about just this for backup. And Josh is like, nah, one eye only, you know? And here that works really well.
Yeah.
Unbelievably well. There's a couple times where I'm like, damn, we should have had a backup plan, dog.
Yeah.
Where'd the backup go? But like we didn't know that. There's no way to know until you've experienced. And I think we have a couple feathers in our hat now.
Yeah.
As far as business goes out there, it's like we get it. Hey, you want to do this project together? Sure. Awesome. Perfect. You want to sign a contract? Sure. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. Hey, we should probably talk to some other people about doing this project on the off chance that they don't want to do it. Maybe 4 other people.
Yeah. At least 5.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with man, it's wild. Like, cause in business here in the world, like it's still a small, even though the US is large, right? It's a small world.
Yeah.
It's a very niche world that we were in, and word travels really, really fast. But that's also because, again, people can be people can be traced, right? And so it's like, if I'm just out there just lying or backing out on my word, we have options. You know, like you you lie to me and you're like, hey, we're going to work on this project. You lie to me and you burn me. Not only am I never going to work with you again, but everybody that I know is going to know that you burned me.
Right.
And then you not only you're going to lose business from that person, but we have all these other options out there to be able to find to do that. But there it's like the same people can just make the same mistakes over and over again and just burn whoever. And there's so few options that somehow they convince the same people to do it again.
You know what's crazy is like we see this in our government. I don't know anything about the Filipino government at all, actually, but we see this in our government a lot, where people will have jobs and like they'll set up a program, whether it's some kind of non-government something, and they'll be like, they'll get a bunch of money into it, and they won't actually do anything, and then they all just have a job for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then it's over, and then you're like, oh, cool, I had that job for a year and a half, and now it's just over, and I got paid like $70,000 a year to kind of just hang out and be in meetings that nothing ever happened. Yeah, we need to save homeless people. Yeah, we do. How are we going to do that?
Raise some money.
We're going to save them, but how are we going to save them? We're going to save them. And like, that's like the whole year. So, but like we noticed that in the show business in the Philippines, where people will set something up like, hey, we're going to do this X, whatever X is. And then they're like, cool. Who's going to fund it? Oh, we got someone to fund it. Okay, cool. What's next? Shh, there is no next.
Yeah, man, it is the Wild West a little bit when it comes to like the setting up process like you're talking about. It's like it is. I remember there was a specific meeting that we were in, and it was a different project that we were brought on for, and we were discussing it, and I remember I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question without giving away what it was for. Basically, we were just eating chicken. Okay, so I'm gonna use the chicken as an analogy.
Yeah, gotcha.
So we were brought in to sell chicken, okay, to hamburger lovers.
Oh, right.
Okay,
yep.
So we were brought in, and we were our job was to find the best chicken.
Yeah.
That money could buy. Under X amount of budget, and bring in the chicken.
Right.
All right. So, but when we get there and we're doing the stuff, and we start going through the plan, we're like, okay, here we go. We got the chicken. We got a list of chicken.
Yeah.
Good chicken, right? Yeah. Chicken's good. And so we're starting to go through the plans and the process, and they do this whole thing. They're like, oh, we're going to do this, and this, and they're going to be this, and they're going to do this.
And nuggets.
And I'm just like, okay.
Chicken fries.
I got to ask a question right now, because this is a really, really big undertaking, and I see where we're going with this. How many of you have ever sold chicken?
Right. Huh?
Chirp.
Yeah.
Nobody. I'm just like, okay, so you're trying to sell chicken. First off, you're trying to sell it to people that don't necessarily like chicken.
Right.
But on top of it, you've never sold chicken. And you don't know anything about chicken or hamburger.
Right. They're like,
so,
no, we know. Chickens are the ones with the hooves. You're like, okay, hold on.
Yeah. And it was at that moment where I was just like I'm in the meeting, and I was dumbfounded because there's like 13, 14 people on this meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I'm like, at what point, and this is at the time, it wasn't far out. And I'm like, at what point did we go, hey, we probably should bring somebody on that knows about chicken? So I'm the only person that knows about chicken. I'm trying to help them through it. I'm not getting paid to help them with the chicken. And I'm like, hey guys, I want to see this go well. Let me teach you about chicken.
Right.
And it was kind of like that's nice.
Yeah.
We got it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. And
that's one project, but we've seen a lot. I think it best sums up what you're talking about of like, it's always we see something happen. We know we can make money.
Yeah.
In order to make money, we just have to raise X amount of dollars and just put out this product. But then you're like, but do you even know how to put out the product? No. Don't worry about how we put out the product. We just put it out. People are just going to buy the product.
Right.
But that's why so many of these things fail. And the amount of business partners we've talked to that like big show productions that just never came to be, or people are owed millions of dollars from the money that just never came in and stuff. It just like, it's just a daily occurrence and people just move on. My mic's really hot. Can you turn my mic down just a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just watching it here now.
But that's why it has been so like. I think everyone knows basically like we raised a good amount of money in the Philippines as far as investors go, but it was very difficult.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of calls and I mean, there are still investors like that are, like might not think that we're, you know what I mean? Like that we're for real. And it's like, yo, like never, like if you give someone money here, like a bunch of money and you're like, I want that back. That's in the contract. It's going to get back. Yeah. Then it's like, then you just do at some point. You know what I mean? If we were here and we accepted like a loan from somebody, then that loan, we're paying that back no matter what.
Or you're getting sued.
Or getting sued. And then you end up paying like off of your check. Like it's your child support for a company. So like, but it's a very different world there. And God, there were so many things that we were like, what? What?
But while we were able to raise a lot of money, it wasn't just hard. It was generally the money that was raised was never timely.
Yeah.
Somehow we always made it work, but it was never timely. That was a big learning experience for us, was like, because you make budgets based on timing. Dude, and again, I'm super grateful. Like we have to all of our investors, super grateful. But for every one investor that actually invested, we would have 4 other investors that would literally say, I'm writing you a check tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm in for this amount. Tomorrow would come, be like, hey, and they'd be like, oh, no, it's okay. I just got to transfer some money. It'll be 3 days.
Yeah. And
then 3 more days would come and be like, oh, no, it's okay. Don't take my name off the list. I want in. It's just next week. It's going to happen next week. Next week comes and all of a sudden responses stop.
Yeah.
And they're just gone.
It's like
just don't tell. Just say no.
Right.
Just say no.
It's like when you're like 20 and you ask a girl on a date and you're like, I'm going to take you to this restaurant, and she's like, okay, and then like you find out that she's not. Like she's like, oh, but I'm going to a better restaurant on that same day, so I'm just going to be like, I have a headache. You know what I mean? Like, like it was, and like
learning
I'm remarkably pessimistic, just like about, not pessimistic, what's the word? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pessimistic. Yeah, you're generally negative in the way that you think about that things are going to turn out.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think you're immensely positive about the way things are going to turn out, but you are very positive about your ability to know what's going on and push forward through it. So you're like, well, it's going to happen because I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because I know how to make it happen. And then we got there and it was like, what happened?
To be fair, we still did. Somehow make, and man, did we have. And it was funny because, and this is the biggest difference between here too. I remember when because there's been multiple times where we're like, we almost packed it up, right?
Yeah.
And just for all kinds of different reasons. And I remember at one point in time, like our investors literally being like, if you just went home, we wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
Like, because they know when you get in a company this early, sometimes it works out, sometimes it fails. And honestly, the amount of people that the amount of money that some of our investors are putting into us are like chump change compared to some of the other project that they're putting in. You know what I mean? Like you're not putting your last $10,000 into a company like us.
Right. Right.
So the risk when you come on. But it was
imagine. Hey, this is my last 10 grand.
Do not give it to us. But it was funny because I think that they were ready for that on multiple occasions. We're like, no, that's not the way we do business. Like we will be here till like every last drop of blood, sweat, and tears falls on the ground and then some. And we're in it to win it.
And before recently, like maybe 5-6 months ago, is it now already?
Yeah.
It was to the point, like, the thing is, we don't know how to stop, but like, it was to the point where it's like, we should have tenfold. Like, we could have been fine. You know what I mean? But like, we just keep being like, No, let's keep going.
We gotta keep going.
I was there. I was there last time I was there. I think this was, or maybe the first time. No, the last time I was there, and we had a conversation where we sat down. It was like, hey, do we pack this up right now? Because everything that we had at that moment actually going on had just fallen apart right in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
And that's really all we can say about it.
Yeah.
But it had just fallen apart completely right in front of our eyes, and we just kind of like sat with it, and it was a rough few days. Oh God, that was awful. And we were just like, do we pack it up? Do we stop? Or do we go on and do the show, Finding FINIX?
Yeah.
Because we could have backed out right there, just went home and came back to YouTube and just been those guys.
Done our thing, because we were doing fine before we came out there. But
and I remember being like, nah, dude. Like there was at the time three girls that had been with us for a long time.
Yeah.
And just waiting to get a chance. We had the whole staff that was just like in it to win it. They've taken just as many bumps as us.
Yeah.
And they still stay. And it's like, dude, we can't, like, I'm not down to let everyone down unless I am going to be in a place where I'm equally as down.
Yeah.
Because, like, if we would have left, we could have been fine. But then I can't, we can't leave unless we are also in a terrible spot along with everyone that we leave high and dry. Yeah. So, like.
Yeah, it was. It's so funny because for the people at home that have been watching the journey, you see you see the public stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
And it's easy sometimes, I think, to kind of make judgments or see that. But like the reality is like you do not get into this right now, especially in the Philippines, if you're like, hey, we're going to go there and we're just going to make a ton of money.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Our business model has such, even if the artists blow up, right now, the model has such thin margins. And the only reason we have a very, very unique label structure in that you and I write all of the music.
Yeah.
So we don't have to pay outside producers and a lot of that money, most of the money for songs goes to songwriting and production, right?
Right.
And that's where most of the label money goes. So we're in a unique spot for that. And then we also just have a model of not, instead of overextending ourselves with like thousands of artists or hundreds of artists, like we were really trying to hyper focus on like 2 or 3, much like the K-pop companies do.
Right.
And, some work and some don't, but that was one of those things of like what the problem with doing it and not diversifying is like people will be like, oh yeah, don't get on more artists, but the reason that most labels do is because there is a 80% to 90% chance that an artist will not work, will not make it.
Right.
That is just the way the music business has always been. And so you have to be the right amount of crazy. We talk about this all the time to not only be willing to do it, but then our staff as well, who have been with us for a long time. It's like you have to believe in what we're doing and what we're attempting to build. You're not in it just for the money. And, you have to be a close knit crew and like it's passion.
Yeah.
It really is a lot of passion and we just get to do what we love. And yeah, that's why that's why we haven't given up. That's why we won't give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for those who keep asking questions in the comments of like, where are you guys? I mean, if you haven't figured it out, right currently, right now, we're in the US, working on music, working on albums right now. Because it's far easier for Lucas and I to write and mix and do all the stuff that we need to do when we can do it right next to one another. And then I go back and forth basically, and you go back and forth, and we just, but right now we're in the time span where it is writing time. Right.
Writing album mode.
Yeah. So that's what's happening right now. But yeah, man, it's very, very interesting to kind of see all of this kind of happen. And then for people to know, because I guarantee you in 6 months, you're going to see the exact same thing happen with somebody else.
I'm sure.
And even when we did the show, it was like just I don't know, very, very much a shock when we started going through the show and we're talking about like what's going to be done when. And it just like you have to be pretty flexible of knowing that 40% of what you want is probably going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that is the situation at hand.
Real fans know this. The rush, the heartbeat, the moment, the wait, the effort. All worth it. Get up close and personal with P-Pop's fastest rising next-gen girl group, FINIX. Only on Hey Roomy. Not just watching, typing, or tapping. You are part of the journey. Be first. Be seen. Be Roomies. Join the FINIX room today. Only on Hey Roomy.
Leave your comments about it or your thoughts if you got extra
Was that
stuff.
an hour already?
No. That was we got through the first like 40 minutes. We're gonna switch to the next topic, but we'll get that was the MLD portion of it. The second one though brings me to a point, and it's a kind of a cool transition because all of that being said, all of the shitty things that happen in the Philippines sometimes with all of these things and that deter people from coming. Why is it then that we still believe that the Philippines and P-pop could overtake K-pop at some point, and so we'll kind of run through the data on that a little bit. I think there'll probably be good follow-up questions of this one, hopefully for next week. But obviously it goes without saying we have a P-pop girl group.
We do.
In the Philippines that we have been working on for the last year. They are our first and only group that we cultivated from scratch. We created the group, all the members, everything like that from scratch. So, and it was our first project that we started working on. It is the project that we're still working on. And so, obviously we clearly believe we went to the other side of the world to put a group together. And part of that is like, I think it goes without saying that the talent per capita when it comes to like specifically singing ability in the Philippines is probably the best in the world when it comes to singers per capita. So you have that going for you. The infrastructure's a mess, but we'll talk about that differently. But what were the key indicators of what we saw in the numbers of why we said this could be a business model that could work, even though we've been at this for 3 years and have not yet made money yet.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, a lot of businesses, it does take a very, very long time to be financially viable. But so I want to break down the key points and the key market points that drove us into this direction.
Right.
So it was very, very interesting when we started doing market research. Was the first things you have to look at is who is your market or your target audience, right? Before you do any type of product, what is the market? And what was interesting, especially at the time, this is far before Bini ever blew up. So you had SB19. Right, Alamat was in your number 2 slot, and they would go up and down in views, but never really hitting the point to what SB19 hit. And then you'd have a couple people vying for third place. Generally, it would be like Kaya.
First one.
No, first one really. From a number standpoint, it's been a while since first one was super relevant. Up there at the time, Bini was still doing okay. BGYO was still doing okay. BGYO. So kind of around that 100K mark is where they'd sit. And so we were looking at it, but when you really look at the crossover demographics in P-pop as a whole and where their numbers sat, what we had determined was really the actual P-pop market, the people that listen to P-pop, that would listen to SB19, but also listen to the brand new group that came out and gave them a shot, was really only around like 40 to 50,000 people at the time.
Yeah.
And in a country with 116 million people in it, that's not a lot in terms of your target audience. So they're like, okay, well, why would you make the decision then? Well, your K-pop audience there, though, is
ginormous.
Yeah. So back in the most recent data that we had back then was the 2022 data. And the 2022 data showed that it was like 4.6 billion streams were for K-pop coming out of the Philippines, specifically on Spotify. In 2022, and that ranked the Philippines at the time as number 6, and they would teeter between like number 5 and number 6 for K-pop consumption.
Yeah, but that's a lot. Yeah.
Right. And so when you look at the numbers actually down, what's funny is Korea is not even the number 1 anymore. The number one is actually the US. So the US is the largest consumer of K-pop currently in the world.
That's wild, huh?
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
In terms of streams. Now, that we're not necessarily talking about physical merchandise and stuff like that, though they're still in the top 10. But like in terms of streams, the number one consumer.
Oh, I'm so jealous, dude.
And then you have countries like India, Japan that are always in the top 10. Korea obviously is in the top 10. And I think Korea at the same time it was like 8.7 million or 9 million streams. So only about double of what the Philippines had in your native country.
Right.
From a streaming standpoint. And then you have Indonesia generally and Malaysia and some of like this other Southeast Asian countries that all kind of fill out that top 10 mark. But what that said though was like people... What differentiates K-pop from people? We've had this conversation over and over again, and really, there isn't a huge differentiator. What it really comes down to is the spectacle of it, the idol nature of it. Whether you're J-pop idol or you're K-pop idol or you're C-pop, it's the idol nature, that parasocial relationship with fans, that kind of like being above reproach that the artists kind of have. Those are the things that kind of set it off apart. And so therefore, what can be said that is just because if they like K-pop, they can like if they're exposed to P-pop groups that are still to the same standard as K-pop, that they could like the same thing because that market demographic shows that they like things like that. And there's crossover between what they like, crossover with things like anime and comic books and other markets that were showing that the indicators are that these people fit the same demographic.
Right.
And P-pop does fall into that space. At the time, though, the general consensus with the research that we had done, and this you can agree or not agree, but the general consensus with the polls and stuff that had been done and the research and market research had been done is that people generally across the board, the vast majority of your casual listeners that do listen and consume K-pop felt that P-pop was not to the standard of what K-pop was.
Yeah.
And that's where this kind of moniker of K-pop wannabes came to exist from.
Remember, this was 5 years ago.
Yeah, correct. The data, yes, we did our data back in early 2023. That market research, a lot of that market research came from 2020 to 2022.
Right.
Right.
And
Things have
just
changed.
The amount of change that has changed.
Things have changed. But we made the decision based on what it was back then.
Right.
To be part of the change that we saw coming.
Right.
Right. But so people can understand of why would we take the plunge? It's because that market research tells you things though about that person. And so Bini didn't happen in and of itself. Like it wasn't like this miraculous thing that all of a sudden came to fruition. Yes, was it right time, right place? Sure.
Yeah.
But Bini had a label behind them and a management company behind them that put in money into their training, into their music, into making sure they had actual music, into their ability to interview and talk and PR. And could we say that some of it's lacking? Sure, but I really do think that aside from SB19, they were really the first group that got that level.
The treatment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what happened then is like, of course, the people then that are already kind of like, hey, we would like this if it was there, they get a taste of it and they're like, oh, we can finally like somebody at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And that's a huge thing, dude. Like to finally get to a point where it's like somebody at home is doing something just as good as not just as good, but still like it feels very similar. Other than language, it feels very similar. And they were like, oh, thank God! Like I wanted to have, be able to stand something like this, but we just didn't really have it. And it's not saying that SB19 didn't have it, but their brand is it's almost different because of how artsy it is. Like there's so much, like, I don't know it just tastes different, but in a good way. You know what I mean? It's not like it is different. It's a different deal.
I would go on to say, we've talked about this before, is that like SB19, I do not think fits an idol model.
No.
Right? I think that they are a group, and I think that they are a boy group, and I do think that they're people that you can look up to. I don't think like they do things that wouldn't make them people that we should idolize, but I do not think they fit the mold of what a stereotypical
pop idol is.
Right, like not what you're expecting out of K-pop.
Right.
Bini definitely fit that mold better. They were set up almost in that way, the same way that J-pop and K-pop were set up, where SB19 was very scrappy and like had a lot of bumps along the way that they had to figure out for themselves and like fight through it, and then through that made music that doesn't necessarily fit into what maybe a K-pop person would listen to. Right, exactly, right? And where Bini was a little bit more, I hate to say traditional in terms of like what we would expect out of K-pop groups, but it was.
Yeah.
And that's okay. People can say, well, that's manufactured, whatever. Say whatever you want. K-pop sells a lot of albums. So like, yes, it's a machine, and that's okay because a lot of the business, but believe it or not, you're at home listening to The Machine right now because you're listening to Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo and you know, Bruno Mars and all the people that also went through The Machine and have billions of dollars behind them to create them.
Yeah.
Katy Perry, you know, like none of those people happened by accident.
Yeah.
And so but that's what I think about SB19 is you're right, is they're not. They didn't really fit into that mold.
Yeah.
And so they have this thing and they latch onto them, and what it showed though was that again the crossover is then there. You have to be able to keep them, and then that has to resonate to the next group and the next group. I think what you're seeing, and part of the reason that it doesn't happen yet is because these companies. It's not like in Korea where you have 4 or 5 companies, big companies that were already there, that were already doing it extremely well. And then the wealth of like good music producers that like are a dime a dozen there though, that you could just get anywhere that can go to these other ones that are creating these K-pop groups that are coming out of like labels that a lot of people haven't even really heard from, but they're still like top class music.
Yeah.
Right. That's not in the Philippines yet.
Right.
And so when the gap then from a group that comes out of like an ABS that has the money to spend on albums and stuff like that, then a group that comes out down here that's writing and producing a lot of their own songs, but they're learning from themselves. It's like there's something noble to be said about, oh great, you wrote your own song, you made your own song, and it's a good sounding song, but it's not necessarily at the level where it's going to get on playlist. It's not necessarily at the level where it's going to get international acclaim. Like all of these things have to happen, and there's a gap, right? And we've talked about this of like it's the playlist. It's the play. What did I call it before?
Purple playlist.
No. It's there was a play on words that I did with it, but it's like the playlist problem is, we're gonna say, for lack of better words. There was a more clever one that I had, but playlist problem. And the playlist problem is the way that these things work is popular playlists. So if you're lucky enough to get on a big playlist on Spotify or something, and we're not talking about just like the Philippines ones, we're talking about the ones that once you get out of like Viral 50 Philippines, you get on Viral 50 in like the US or Viral 50 just Spotify, and that skyrockets your viewers overnight.
Right.
It's just your instant claim to fame, right? Kind of like how TikTok virality can be. And the problem with those playlists is there is a standard. There is a mixing, production, mastering standard.
Yep.
And when you listen from one song to the next on those playlists, or you just put on K-pop On, for instance, and you're listening from one song, K-pop On actually seamlessly puts it doesn't even go to the end of the song. It's like a DJ.
Yeah,
it goes right into the next song. But never when you're on one of those playlists are you like, this song doesn't belong here. Like you stop and you can just be listening in the background. But you go and you throw a lot of the songs coming out of P-pop on there, and it's going to stop people in its tracks.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're badly written songs. They're just not to the same standard of what those are. And
like for people, like, because people do get upset when we say stuff like that, but like don't forget that like we spend more time producing, mixing, and mastering than we do almost anything else that we do in our business,
including sleeping,
including
or
sleeping,
eating.
So like, and like, are we saying, we're not even saying that like our production is the best production?
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying that, but we are saying we do know what we're talking about when it comes to this stuff, and that you can hear it. Like, it's like, and some people know, and they don't want to act like they know, and they're just like, nuh-uh. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the reality is that's why, because a lot of people hate on people to hate on people, right? Like, we get a lot of hate because people just don't like us or they don't want to like us, and that's fine. But like, there's a reason why we knew when we went after this venture, it wasn't that our mixes were bad at the time, because we weren't mixers at the time.
Right.
When we were writing music before, we were songwriters.
Right.
Really. And producers, but we still weren't, I don't even feel like we were beyond like a C-level producer when you and I started working together.
Right, no, 100%.
Right. But I always felt we were very good songwriters, though. We were good at lyrics, we're good at melodies. Like, we were always very, very good at that. And then we were okay producers, and we'd work with a lot of other people to make that happen. But we weren't the best. We weren't the best mixers, and we were learning mixing a lot of the time. And I even remember back 5 years ago, us pitching some of our music, and we would get feedback, and you take that feedback. And I remember one of the songs that we really thought was really, really good, and it's still a really, really good song, but we would get feedback from playlists, and that's what they would say, like, the mix isn't good enough on this, these are the things to fix for it to wind up on this playlist. And you pay for that kind of advice, you know, and it takes time. But that's also why when we set out to do the venture, we found the top 1% mixer in the world to work with us and mix our stuff. So when people come on, and it's always funny to me because like people don't read in the credits and they're like, oh, these two are just doing it. When people come on and they like attack our mixes, and I'm like, yeah, the guy that mixes our stuff has like, you know, almost billion streams and is like top 1% in the world for mixing. Yeah. You're full of it and you have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Right. Or you're just saying things to say things.
Yeah. So, but we realized our downfalls when we did that, and then we've been learning from that over the last 3 or 4 years as we've done it, and now we have that kind of confidence but that's come through hundreds of mixes, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of hours that we
productions too, like
So when we're saying this, it's funny because most of the time to get this type of advice for businesses, for other labels, for the people out there to get this type of advice, you're going to spend a lot of money. And we just come out and we say it for free. Yeah. And then people just ignore it. But we do also know behind the scenes that there are companies that are being pushed or are listening to things like this. And it's awesome. We hope that they are. That's why we come out and we say things like this. But it's that final 20% that's missing is also what takes your songs from being where they're at to being radio worthy. Yeah. And that's the only thing that's really missing in the Philippines is that extra 20 to 25%. Yeah. And that comes from the infrastructure that's lacking. So what are the other key indicators of why we thought then, okay, well, you're saying all this and it's not there, so why would it happen? Let's not forget, it took K-pop a long time to get to where they were. Yeah. One of the things Korea does very, very well is they emulate, recreate, polish, and create a better product. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they've been known for that for a very, very long period of time. So when K-pop first comes out in the late 90s, early 2000s, people would say the same thing. Oh, it's a ripoff. It's a Backstreet Boys knockoff. It's an NSYNC knockoff, right? You go and you listen to some of the productions and some of the stuff back then and the costumes, and I will call them costumes at that point in time. Like it was just kind of like, why would I listen to this when I can listen to the Backstreet Boys? Right. I can listen to NSYNC, where like these productions were really, really good. And they didn't let that deter them. They were like, okay, let's learn from them. They import Americans, they import J-pop people, and they're like, here's some money. Yeah. Teach us how to do it. They learn how to do it. They create their own systems. They create a machine, and now they're one of the best in the world at it. Yeah. And so it can happen. It just takes time, and it did. It took them. It wasn't probably until the mid to late 2000s that K-pop started kind of in that second generation era, started getting a little bit more. And I remember when I was in high school back in like the mid 2000s, there was a couple people that would, and you'd see a couple things here and there that would be okay. But even going back and listening to some of like the old, like, no offense, but the old like 21 mixes from way, way back when they started. Yeah. Like, you know, it was like just a stripped down Blackpink song, but like it's like comparatively to the mixes of today, yeah, they weren't there yet. Dude, it was good songs, but they weren't there yet.
If you listen to like Lisa Money, that song is a banger song, but if you listen to the mix, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Boom. Dun, dun.
Well, going back and listening to the early BTS stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Versus, because I remember one of the things that we would judge ourselves for when we were trying to compare our mixes in the space that we were trying to be in was like, we were like, okay, we're not at the place where we can be 2025 BTS mixes because those guys get paid $150,000 to come in and produce and mix that shit, right? But can we match 2013 to 2016 BTS? That was the first thing, and then our mixes were already to 2013. So then I was like, okay, can we match 2016 to 2019 BTS? And honestly, that's where we are. I still think that's kind of where we are right now. It's like the songs are very much in that era of mixes. I'm not saying because people are going to be like, you think you're as good as BTS was in 2016.
I mean,
that's not where we're going.
Obviously not.
But so we look at that and we say, okay, so it can be done. And honestly, with the way that technology is right now, it could be done sooner, right? If infrastructure is all that's holding the Philippines back then, really from that, and there's such this exponential growth market that's there, all it takes is a couple of companies like us to work with people there to start coming together and create the same type of infrastructure that was created in Korea. And it's very, very possible. And the crazy thing is, when you look at it from the empirical standpoint, from the number standpoint, Korea, when we did it, Korea has roughly 51 million people live in Korea. Okay.
That's a lot.
There is a saturation rate where they already have determined basically how many people are already using streaming devices on a daily basis in their lives. Okay. And Korea already, this is 2019 to 2022 data, Korea was already at like 31 to 34% saturation rate. So already that many people out of their population are already using streaming devices on a daily basis in their daily lives. Now, what they say is like total saturation is between like 40, sometimes up to 50%. So like that 40 to 45% mark is like, you're never going to have more people because you always have old people that aren't listening to streaming that way. They don't listen to music.
Right.
That way. You're never going to get that population. As people age, they fall out of also listening to music that way. So that means that Korea, no matter how much they want to expand in their home country,
they really can't.
They can't. Right. And that's why they go after the Japanese market. That's why they're going after the US market so much, because they've hit saturation levels in Korea. Now they have to go outside. That same period of time, though, for the Philippines, the Filipino market was only at 4.9% saturation.
Right.
But there's 116 million people at the time of the data that we pulled, 116 million people living there. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that up until basically the mid-2000s and 2010s, the infrastructure network for even cellular devices and things like Wi-Fi wasn't even good enough for people to be able to use those services. It especially in a lot, like, you're in Manila and that's great, or you're in Cebu, you're in Davao, but all the other places. But that has expanded so much where even the most provincial areas and rural areas are now have access through better smart devices, through better SIM cards and things like that. And during that time, it expanded from people having, it was like 0.6 devices per person.
Okay.
At the time. Okay. Which basically means that, only about 60% of the population had even a phone. That doesn't necessarily mean they had access to data, but had a phone. In that same period of time, that increased to 1.7 devices per person.
Yeah.
So basically, every single person almost has two devices, and we saw that when we were in the Philippines. We had two phones. It's pretty normal to have two devices or two SIM cards, and what that means is there's even more opportunities then to advertise to them, for them to have the ability to listen to music because they're going to be hit with it. And so we saw that, and to get to that 40%, that 5%, to get to where Korea was at, which is like 31%, a 25% increase in streamers in the Philippines would basically account for another 30 to 35 million monthly listeners coming out of the Philippines alone. And the Philippines is already one of the largest, Quezon City is one of the largest areas in terms of stream density in the world that people go after already.
A lot of our streams come from there.
So it is one of those things where it's like when people are like, well, why would you do it then? It's like, because we believe in the product, we believe in the systems. We just know it takes time to take those systems, and it takes the right people to be able to go through what we go through on a daily basis.
Yes.
The people telling you, go home, you're not welcome here. You know, why are you here anyway? You're trying to steal things from us. This should be Filipinos only doing this. It's like the longer that you have that mentality, you know, oh, you guys have white savior complex.
Yeah.
I always love that. First off, my man over here ain't white, so calm down.
I'm not actually.
So calm yourselves. Yeah. Stop what you're doing because we about to. No, but like.
And I've never heard of black savior complex.
Yeah.
So
you could start it.
Yeah.
You could start it. But it's more of like, I've never. It's so wild when people attack things like that. It's like. Again, that's what makes Korea successful. And it's like, and the money still comes back regardless, right? Like, and what's crazy is because of the way that things happen there, we came there with the ideals of setting up a Filipino company with all Filipino employees and doing this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And then we did. And then once it became so god dang difficult to navigate the system, and we would have people coming to us. I remember this, a side note, we would have people coming to us when we did that and like, Filipinos that have companies in the Philippines, right? That are running out of the Philippines. And they're like, why on earth are you registering in the Philippines? What are you talking about? We want to be a Filipino company. They're like, you're dumb. Register in Singapore. And it's like the amount of people, the amount of Filipinos that aren't even registered.
Dude, and that's the craziest part is that we had people that we trust and especially we definitely trust their business acumen. Like we really trusted their business acumen. That's why we were talking to them. That's why we're friends with them. They say this thing and we're like, nah.
We're like, what do you mean? We want to have a Filipino company with Filipino employees.
So dumb. So dumb.
But you know, we did end up having to move a lot of our operations back home here, just because of the difficulty, and especially in the music business, of the copyright issues that the artists face there. Like, even if you want to make sure they get registered properly, you can't.
There really isn't a way.
There isn't a way to make sure that your artists get paid 100% of what they're due currently, because the biggest thing that you need transparency. Which even, you know, Phil's Cap is the only organization there, and there's no transparency.
And they're invite only, right?
It's invite only. You can't go and look up any of your stuff registered. So there's no way to check. There's no checks and balances, right? Right now, we're registered with BMI. I can go up and check any single song that we have, make sure it's registered properly so we know we're getting paid properly, make sure that so-and-so is on the song, all that. I can just go and look it up. And if it's not there, I go and correct it. With Phil's Cap, it's like,
Dear Phil's Cap.
Exactly. Sitting there at night, like waiting 6 months to get a response, you know. And again, this isn't a bash on Phil's Cap either. They do the best that they can, but like, it's an infrastructure issue. You got to get with the times, right?
Got to get some more money.
But these are all the things that we saw, and the data is there. It just is going to take a little bit more time. It's going to take the people like you out there, the awesome ones that are watching this, that are going to be proponents and going to help the culture of the way that we need to interact with one another. And we talk about the fan wars and stuff. Man, like, y'all are killing yourselves with the damn fan wars.
It's getting bad.
People don't want to invest. The people that need to be spending the money on this don't want to spend the money on it.
I want to say that if you're someone who listens to this show and you have a good head on your shoulders and you really love music and you're like, man, I really want to get into it. I'm not sure how. One, it's relatively easy. You can call a company and be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, most of the time they're always hiring. And like, if you really want to do it and do it right, go for it, because go for it now and try to help make those positive changes now, because the Philippines is on a crazy come up right now. Like, I definitely within the next 10 years, it's going to be like, this is a different place. And if you want to be a part of the music industry and you want to make a positive change in it, now is probably the time because later it's going to be too late. Someone else is going to, a different company from a different place is going to come in and kind of just pick everything up if the Philippines doesn't do it themselves.
Yeah.
And then, like 10 years ago was probably just awful. So right now is a perfect time if you were like, man, I really want to get in and make a positive change. Now's the time.
Yeah. And when you do want to get, like, have thick skin though, like when you do get in, just make sure, like, man, if there's something that I could leave for like industry professionals, artists, or anything listening out there, it's like, trust your instincts and don't get swayed so much by what other people want you to do.
Yeah.
Unless you really, really check their references.
Yeah.
And it's, I think that's one of the easiest things to get sucked into the Philippines. It's because people can just tell you whatever. There's no way to, like, it's so hard to check references in the Philippines, right? Again, there is no way, like, somebody could put whatever they want on LinkedIn, and then you go on there like, oh, they work for this company, and I go into Google and I try to find the company. Well, the company doesn't exist on Google, and then I'm going through Facebook and the company closed down 4 years ago, or doesn't have that number anymore. And it's like, there's no real way to make sure that people are what they say they are, who they say they are sometimes too. And so it's just like, you know, use your best judgment, trust your own judgment in some of these things, do your due diligence. Don't just believe what people tell you or what they say, and get in while the getting's good, because it's going to be slow. It's going to be hard. It's frustrating, but it is also extremely exciting to be a part of something like that. And when things like Bini happen, I was so excited because I was like, man, like, this is what we saw coming. Yeah. Like we literally had a report that we had handed out. And I remember talking to some of our investors, even like, man, you guys knew it. You guys knew that it was coming. How did you know? And it was like,
the numbers were there.
It told us, you know. Yeah. You just had to be crazy enough to get in on it. So, yeah. Good talk. Yeah. P-pop's going to take over. 10 years. 10 years.
I think so. And I just freaking hope to Jesus that we're like, we ain't got to be these guys.
No.
We don't want to be these guys. We want to be like, don't be like these guys, you know, or these guys, you know. Let's do that too. That'd be pretty sweet. The guys that just blow the roof off of the whole place. I would love that, but like, I want to be a part of it, because like, it's how often is there and sorry if you're like, it's not fledgling, a fledgling music movement happening that you can be a part of. And like be part of, like really helping shape the history of that. Like it's very, very seldom. And like, it does, like it won't happen again in our lifetime, I don't think. You know, because there's not a lot left. The markets that were already there are getting tapped already, right? You saw Latin America. Everybody's already in Latin America, right? Like every single major label has a Latin America arm. India was the one before then. Now every single label has an Indian arm already. Like they've already identified them. And the Philippines is really like the next one that, again, we predicted. And we're seeing, man, the big labels that we keep seeing come in and like, wait, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing this? We need to find this. We need to find this. Yeah. You know, it is pretty incredible. If 20 years from now, I would be fine with it. If 20 years from now, Netflix comes out with a documentary about the rise of this crazy thing, P-pop, that came up, and it's just me and you for one split second, just being like, and it was terrible. And then, and then it just cuts, and like just completely out of context. Yeah, I'd be like, we did it. We did it, man. We made it. History books. There we go. And it was awful. That was you, by the way. Thanks. That was the voice for you. Thanks. Yeah. I appreciate it. Here, let me give them their take. And it was awful. That's the take to use right there. Yeah, use that. Yeah, cut that one. You can use it. We won't copyright claim it. Yeah. But man, yeah, it's exciting, and I do truly believe that we're seeing it, and we're being part of history right now. And as bad as it looks out there at home, have faith. And we see the numbers go up and down. We saw it already happen once with SB19, and then a bunch of groups came out and it fell down, right? Yeah. And then Bini took off, and we saw a bunch of groups, and the numbers are falling off again. Yeah. But each time we've added something, and what I want people to remember is, before we had one group, that blew up and it fell. But now we have two groups that blew up.
before it fell.
Yeah.
And they're staying constant at that level. And if we can keep doubling it, the next turnaround, and if those time changes, you know, the first time it took about 2 years, 3 years for the next one to happen. Well, if the next one, it goes in half and the next one's a year and a half from now you got 3 or 4 groups.
Yeah.
And then it goes back down. And the next one, it's now only a year. And then you have 8 groups. And it goes back down. The next one's a year. Now you have 16 groups. That's what happened with K-pop.
Yes.
And that's all, it's all it takes.
And like we're saying this as because we are part of P-pop.
Yeah.
And we want to be a part of P-pop.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. If like...
Yeah.
If you're on, I'm scared to do this because I scared to do this.
I scared to do this too.
But like, if there are companies out there that seem like they're having a hard time, or they're not doing things to the way that you think we could possibly do them, simply at GKD Labels have at GKD Labels help you. Contact at GKD Labels. Let them know we're willing to help. That's what we're like. We want to help.
And for the people out there that are like, well, what right do you have? Blah blah blah. And it's just like, first off, FINIX has within FINIX's debut, with
pre-debut
with no money, right? Like we had enough money to keep the lights on. We have enough money to pay our staff, but we do not have the money we are for what we're doing. For how much money we have compared to these other companies out there that have money, we bypassed how many people? The girls topped out at almost 80,000 monthly listeners.
Yeah.
During their pre-debut era, before falling back down, which is normal during an era, but they've never fallen below like 20,000.
Right.
They're still in the top 40% of P-pop groups.
Yeah.
Right now, being a brand new P-pop group for monthly listeners. Right. We topped out at the 5th largest P-pop group on YouTube. 492,000 monthly listeners is what we topped out at the time on YouTube. And again, you can agree with us or not agree with us, because you might be saying, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Because we understand the music business, and that's what we're going after.
Yeah.
We're going after music listeners. That's what's important right now. And so, but we've done it with almost nothing. And the crazy thing is again, we are willing, and we did, man, how many people did we meet with and gave them like free advice? But then the minute that we were a competitor, it was like we were cut off from everything.
That was nuts.
We were just cut off from everything. Like people were knocking on our door to do podcasts and interviews with these groups and do all this stuff. And the minute that we announced that we were going to do our own group, it's like, guys, you got to understand that like there is no competitors right now.
Yeah.
There's no competition. There isn't enough market set to have a competition. Nobody is competition right now.
Yeah.
It's just hoping and praying that these groups keep doing well. Hoping and praying that SB19 keeps rocking, that Bini keeps rocking, that every single new group rocks, like that another group blows up. You know, it's always sad when you see like a group like GAT that came out and had this huge blow up with Darling Dale, right?
Yeah.
And then
it's a good song. Yeah.
Nothing. Because they didn't follow. There's no follow up with music. They were with a huge label, right? You got Viva behind them, and it's just like, just release another good song.
Yeah, yeah. Where is it?
You know, they've released a couple since then, and not to that level. It's like, but just keep doing it. But that costs money.
Yeah.
But we're always willing, and our door is always open. We've said it from the very beginning. You know, we'll help for free. We will. And what does it do for us? Rising tide lifts all boats. We've talked about it. It's the multiplier effect. We need the business to do well. We just want to be a part of it doing well. And it's the long game. It's not thinking about what can you do for me today.
Right.
It's building a relationship so that 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that you know,
we
takes, you know.
Click, click, boom with the make his jaw drop with the arsenal. We don't ever stop. Click, boom with the when you're looking awestruck, baby, I'm a construct. Hip, hip, move to the always stay fit like I'm Taylor no Swift. Rich, bags don't sit. Foreign on my bootstraps, birds don't fit. I like money. Said to the bunny, the fox with a mink coat. I'm gonna rise above the sorrow, no looking back. I will rise again, shine brighter. From the ashes, a fighter.
And,
I really hope. I really
times.
hope it does be big.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope it does be big too. Do you guys at home hope it does be big? It's late.
Yeah.
It's late for us.
Lulu Tai.
It's late for us. We don't normally do stuff this late. But anyway, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this show. It was a lot of fun to go through it and talk about it and just kind of nerd about how we just feel like, P-Pop's gonna be it. It's gonna be it.
It's gonna be.
We've literally gambled our entire lives on it.
Yeah. It's gonna be it.
Our entire lives.
It must be it.
It has to be it. But I hope you guys like this. Please leave your questions below. This is one place where you don't have to go to the reaction request form. On the podcast specifically, if you have questions that you'd like us to answer in future podcasts or ideas for topics for future podcasts, please feel free to ask those in these podcasts. We do love to answer those questions when they do come up. Follow our girl group. Check them out. FINIX, FINIX.
There's been a couple ads.
There's probably been a couple ads at this point in time. There's probably been an ad or two for Hey Roomie.
Yeah.
Check out Hey Roomie.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's an hour and a half podcast, so I bet you that you'll probably have seen it 4 times by now.
Yep.
And be grateful that it's Hey Roomie, because when I listen to podcasts, it's always like, do you have a problem pooping?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always the worst.
Blue Chew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm listening, I like the mindless stuff, like the true crime kind of stuff, like the things that I don't get in my daily life that I can just be like, oh, I want to hear a cool story. But it's aimed at a different clientele, and it's always like, are you flatulent in the morning? Do you fart too much? Anyway, I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this, and we appreciate you guys so much. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're gonna keep fighting the good fight. We're gonna keep making music. We're super excited. There's so much coming.
Bangers!
There's so much coming. If you guys missed it, there was an announcement that got made a while ago through a media release that was supposed to be for the media's eyes only. The word on the street is that there's 27 songs that will be out between
I keep hearing that
now and the end of Q2 of next year. That's the word on the street. Do you know what the crazy thing is?
What?
When we did that count, it didn't include other songs.
I know. So many.
So there may or may not be more.
Yeah.
Depending. Anyway, hope you guys liked it. If nobody told you that they love you today, please don't forget that we love you. You're appreciated, always welcome here in this channel, and you are enough. And last but certainly not least,
it was a great day to play.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you in the next video. Bye.